Here we are asked to find the average rate of change of this function g of x on the interval from 1 to 4. So in order to do that, we need to refer to this formula that tells us to find the value of the function at b, subtract it from the value of the function at a. So basically we're finding the change in the outputs between these two inputs. And then we're going to subtract that by the difference in the two inputs, b minus a. So basically we're finding the rate of change over the full interval outputs and then the rate of, or the change in the interval inputs. So I'm going to call b is 1 and a is 4. It does not matter how you label these. You could do a as 1 and b as 4 and you should end up with the same thing. So let's go ahead and find g of b, which is 1. So g of 1, that tells us that we're going to plug a 1 in to the function g. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to plug in a 1, and then I will calculate what that number is. Okay, so I've got some exponents. So 1 to the third is 1. 1 to the second is also 1. So my exponents are done. So now let's do the multiplication. I've got -2 times 1 is -2. 5 times 1 is 5. -4 times 1 is -4. And then I've got the plus 1 at the end. So if we add from left to right, -2 plus 5 is 3. -4 is -1. Plus 1 is a 0. So it looks like g of 1 is 0. Now let's do the same thing. We also need to find g of 4 because that's a. So g of 4, same process. We're going to plug in a 4 for x. So 4 cubed plus 5 times 4 squared minus 4 times 4. 4 plus 1. So order of operations says that I need to do the exponents first. So 4 cubed is going to be 64. 4 squared will get me 16. And now I've done all my exponents. Next step would be to do multiplication. So -2 times 64 would be a -128. 5 times 16 gets me 80. 4 times 4 is 16, and I'm minusing that, and then plus 1. So now let's add and subtract left to right. So -128 plus 80 is -48. Now -48 minus 16 is -64. And then I'm going to add 1, so I end up with a -63. So I've done all the heavy lifting. I figured out g of 1, I figured out g of 4. So let's go ahead and plug that in. Let's remind ourselves that b is 1, a is 4, and so I'm going to have a 1 and a 4 here too. So let's plug everything into this equation. G of 1 was 0, and I'm going to subtract that from g of 4, which was a -63. Be careful with your signs. And then I'm going to divide that by b, which is 1, minus 4, which was a. 0 minus a -63 is a +63. 1 minus 4 is -3. Then I just need to do 63 divided by -3, which is a -21. So that means on average, as I go along this function on the interval from 1 to 4, on average, I'm going to change a -21 units.